So it's been made very clear to me that a lot of people didn't actually do the assigned reading in high school. It's concerning. It's concerning. We're gonna watch this video, and then we'll talk.
A very interesting thing about this cultural and societal moment we're in, where we're realizing that people don't have reading comprehension skills, like very basic reading comprehension skills, is that people forget part of reading comprehension is being able to infer the intended audience of a piece of text without the author telling you directly. Did you know that you're supposed to be able to do that? You're supposed to be able to engage with a piece of text and say, I think the intended audience is blank. You are not supposed to need clarifications at the beginning of a text saying, now obviously I'm not talking about A, B, C, and D. You're supposed to be able to figure that out on your own, right? And so when you request those clarifications of saying, now make sure you say you're not talking about X, Y, and Z group, you lack reading comprehension skills. Does that make sense? Like, that's a skill you're supposed to have, and it seems like most people don't, and that goes hand in hand with reading comprehension.
There are two points that I want to jump off of from that very well articulated video. But first, for those who are new here, hi, my name is Shayna. I'm a journalist. Currently on a press trip, so life is kind of crazy right now. But outside of what I do here, I also rant online about decentering men, child-free living, etc., etc. If any of that sounds interesting to you, please like, share, subscribe, and type your thoughts away in the comment section. Now, let's dive into. I also had to bring out the handy-dandy notebook because we got to talk about some things now. So first, I want to talk about what's going on in the video that we just saw, which talks about understanding who the intended audience is. And then next, I'm going to talk about the importance of understanding point of view. So how do these things interact with the space in which I talk and rant online, on YouTube anyway? A lot of people, for the sake of comfortability, let's talk about how this shows up in men who feel triggered by some of the things that I say. Not even just things that I say, but people that talk about these kinds of topics online or in spaces. So when people feel the need to say not all men, it's that. When people feel the need to say, oh, but like, I don't do that. It's that. If you're not the intended audience, then it's giving hit dog hollering. But for people who have those reading comprehension skills, they can recognize that people are allowed to share their experience about a specific subsect, be that the minority or the majority of people have those experiences. And if you recognize I am not part of the people within that experience, then this does not apply to me. If it don't apply, let it fly. Now, this also shows up in the reactions that I get from some women within this idea of, are you the intended audience? Now, when I or other women or people that have to interact with men in a similar kind of space, right? When we talk about our struggles and our concerns, and people are sounding off in the comments, oh, my husband doesn't do that. Oh, my boyfriend doesn't do that. Shayna, how dare you? Is your husband the intended audience? Also, it doesn't sound like your husband is ranting online trying to like state his claim. Is that the intended audience? Is your person, your man, the intended audience? If not, if it don't apply, let it, okay? Now, the next thing that I want to talk about here, and I'm going to be referring to my notes on here because I didn't want to forget anything, is the importance of understanding point of view, right? And a lot of people think that they understand point of view, but unfortunately now this is going to have to be a literary lesson for a couple seconds, so that way I could break this down. You have first person, second person, third person. First person is I. Second person is you. You bring the reader along with you. You say, hey, do you see what's going on here? You're breaking that third wall, right? Or fourth wall, right? And then you have third person, which is using pronouns. The narrator is outside of the experience of the character, right? And there are multiple ways to have a third person point of view. Let's talk about them. I promise you, this is all going to circle back. So we got three different kinds of third person point of view. First is third person objective. The facts of a narrative are reported by a seemingly neutral impersonal observer or recorder. It's a pretty standard, this is the most common kind of third person point of view. Then you have third person omniscient, right? An all-knowing narrator not only reports the facts, but may also interpret events and relate the thoughts or feelings of any character. The narrator knows all, sees all. And then you have right over here, which is where we're going to focus more. Third person limited. A narrator reports the facts and interprets events from the perspective of a single character. If that character don't know what's going on, the narrator does not know what is going on. But at the end of the day, the narrator is still just reporting on the thoughts of that third character. These are not the narrator's thoughts. These are the thoughts of the limited third character POV that the narrator is responding to. Now, it's been a while since I've read Game of Thrones, but I remember Game of Thrones being closer to, and if anybody's like currently reading it right now and I'm a little off, please let me know in the comments, but I remember it being closer to a third person limited point of view. And that, we're gonna focus on this example because it's very much, while those last couple of seasons were a mess. We're going to focus on it because most people have at least a general understanding of that POV through that series. Each chapter in Game of Thrones is through the eyes of a different narrator. And I remember those lenses being only in the space that that character could see and experience. They did not have the full story, but you saw fully what they saw, and that was reported through. Here's some questions that I have in relation to a video that I made. I don't know. I think I published it like yesterday, maybe a day or two. I'm gonna tag it somewhere in here. So if people are unfamiliar with it, just like dive in. Here's some thoughts some questions that I have for you. Do we skip over Joffrey's chapters or insert any problematic character here because we don't like the way that they think? Like, is that something that people do? Let me continue my questions. Do we assume the narrator in third person POV agrees with Joffrey, or that they are just sharing the facts of his perspective? Not necessarily the facts of the reality, but the facts of his lived experience. I briefly hopped into the comment section and I realized that there are a decent amount of people that, while what I was saying, I was talking through, it really, this is like basic reading comprehension skills that people practice in like middle school and high school, and you're supposed to expand upon in college. Like, in me talking about a man's point of view and how he is talking about that to other men, and how women should ideally understand that you don't have to agree with it to understand, but it's important to understand that point of view because we live in the consequences of people having that point of view. So in knowing what that point of is, and knowing how they got there, and in knowing how that relates to the women that choose to be in relationship to men, it makes it creates a space in where you have a better understanding of how to navigate people that have that point of view. That's not my point of view. I am sharing through a POV as a narrator, as somebody who is creating content around it. I feel like I shouldn't have to lay all these blocks out. Now, why is it important to have an understanding of what this looks like through a historic context? Because a lot of what I talk here interrelates not just to what is happening currently in news, but what has happened historically. Now, I understand, we all understand, Hitler, bad man. Hitler, bad man. Nazis, bad people, right? Understanding his point of view, how he came to his point of view, how he came to become the person that he became is important. I think it was Maya Angelou who said, and I'm going to be butchering this, right? But basically, like, if it has happened if a human has done it, then it is within the realm of humanity. Nobody is beyond, is human outside of me. Like, if somebody else does it, then it is something that I could potentially do because it is a human experience. Mind you, I butchered that. I will look it up at some point. But basically, it is important to understand people's points of view. You don't have to agree with them. But through their limited lens of their singular set of eyes and singular bodies, it's important to understand how they came to those conclusions. Why? Because if we really knew history, not just, oh, World War II ended here, this was the Battle of, right? If we actually knew history, if we actually studied how somebody could reach a point of depravity that they would eliminate millions of people based on them, on the othering of them. If we really did that deep dive, then we would not have somebody else. We wouldn't have Hitler 2.0 right now in Israel. We would not have Netanyahu reading basically out of the playbook right now. History repeats itself. And because we are not fully recognized, we're not really learning history, we're not really understanding the importance of knowledge through somebody of perspective. It could be a terrible perspective, but things are bound to repeat itself if we don't really understand how they got to that point in the first place and how that affects the people that are in their direct line of fire. So yes, the lawyer previously, and I didn't think I had to state it before, but just in case people didn't quite get it, the lawyer, the highly accomplished, very well off author/lawyer that was in that video has problematic points of view about women. The lawyer that's in that video also speaks to and for a lot of men who identify with his limited point of view. They look at him and they say, I see the world similarly through my limited point of view. They don't have all the words for that, but that's it, whatever. They see that, they resonate with it, and then they continue to expound upon the beliefs that he has laid out. Somebody at some point in the comments was like, Shayna, you're saying women are a bunch of holes. One, I never said that. That's wild. But two, if I said that, which I'm so sure that I didn't, that is the point of view that a lot of men have about women. The man that that the lawyer was talking about, that was created the space for the saddest divorce he ever facilitated. Yeah, he only sees women as a collection of holes. He was 92 years old, and he divorced his wife of 60 years for somebody that could have been his granddaughter. You can't tell me that they have anything in common. You can't tell me that she opened his world to a brand new. You can't tell me that he saw her as anything other than a body to use, a hot young thing on the block. It's unfortunate, and it's his point of view. It's his lived experience. And the woman, in reaction to this problem, I don't know her, I don't know them. But if you're marrying somebody that is on death's doorstep, similarly to what Shira 7 talks about. Now, for people that are, here's the connection, right? Here's the through line from what I'm talking about to, if you're going to hate what I'm saying in this kind of regard, you probably also hate what Shira 7 talks about and the way that she talks about it too. When Shira talks about women, about like, oh, you know, if you want to get a rich man, if you want to get a provider man, all of that, if you want that, then you have to, unfortunately, understand the Ooga brain. You have to navigate it and play your cards right within their system to their point of view. You have to have an omniscient third person POV when they have a limited. You have to see everything, understand everything before, present, and past, so that way you can play your cards right, so that way you can get a rich booga, is essentially what she's doing. So she's sharing the playbook, and she don't necessarily have time to say, hey guys, this isn't my personal point of view, but you know, she don't want to do all that. So she don't. So she says things more directly in a way that rubs a lot of people the wrong way. She says things in a way that, yeah, if this is the kind of life that you want, you are going to have to look a certain way, present a certain way, act a certain way that will appease that point of, that will put you in a sympathetic light into that point of, in somebody that has that point of view of the world. She says it also in a way that is incredibly direct. She gets straight to the point. We don't gotta beat around the bush. I am a journalist. I explain things to people for a reason. I explain things to people for money. That's how I pay my bills. So I'm taking the time to kind of break this down a little bit more, but these are the kinds of things that are going to continue to show up in this kind of work when it comes to decentering men, child-free living, expanding upon problematic points of view and how they relate to marginalized groups. It's important to understand that point of view and how they got there. It's why villains in Marvel movies or Disney, the best villains, you understand their point of view. You can say, I see how they got there. And a lot of times people sympathize with that villain. Now, that's cool, great, lovely in a movie. But if it's your real life, if that's your neighbor, if that's your father, it's good to understand how they got there. In understanding how they got there, you'll understand that's not something to be sympathized, to be adored, something to be thirsted over, the way that there are serial killer thirst traps. Because, oh my God, he has such a problematic childhood. You see how this is all kind of intersecting and why it's reading is power. So I'm gonna share this last note in here. And then I'm gonna do some things. Also, I'm a little gassy, so if I burp, forgive me. And if you don't, it's gonna happen. It might happen. I don't know. Let's say men, basic reading knowledge, this is basic reading knowledge that people should apply interpersonally into their day-to-day lives. Right? Let's say men believe X about women. A woman, let's say me, shares that information and background as to why men think this way and why it makes sense to them. People blame the woman for communicating the male point of view. It don't make sense to me. And I get it, I'm wildly neurodivergent. So I don't need it to make sense. I'm just sharing this for the people that want to continue this kind of conversation and might not have either had the skills communicated to them at those fundamental learning levels, just in case there are people out there that want to grow, want to learn, not just from me, but from other creators that are having these kinds of conversations. It's important to understand how these things apply. These things that we should have learned in school show up in our lives and can affect us and the way that we see the world and interact with other people. So with that, please don't forget, like, share, subscribe, all that great sexy stuff. And I'm gonna talk to you guys later. All right, bye.